Before we kick off this episode, I want to say we are not professionals of any kind. We are just two folks who want to talk about our 25 plus years of marriage and Jesus. Thanks for listening.
Hey, babe, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. So today we get to talk about my favorite subject. And
Me? Are we talking about me?
Yep, we
Is
are.
This mine?
We are. And we'll get to that in a minute. But before we get started, do you have any God winks? I have one.
Tell me yours first.
Okay.
I did mine first last time.
Okay. Since you have that look of terror on your face.
Well, because right before you turned the microphones on, we said you would go first.
Oh, yeah. That's true. So my God wink is more universal and not like a specific event, but we are going to be talking about Hawaii today. And one of, I think, my God winks that I want to bring up is that through life, we talked about in the podcast last week that we, like, I don't know what a want is because, you know, we have kind of our needs. I don't know what a need is because we have our needs covered for the most part. But God has blessed us with the ability to travel and go see things and go to places. And one of the things that I think that He expects from us and I appreciate is for us to keep it in perspective. And so I feel like we can go visit or do something, and we're sitting right now in your cow room, and I'm looking at all these cow pictures that we've taken at various Highland cow farms we've been to. But every place we go, God usually gives me some kind of a spiritual lesson, something to kind of ponder for my own life. And so going to these Highland cow farms, I left with, you know, something, and we're going to be talking about the Hawaii trip in just a minute, but kind of the God wink I like is the fact that He's given us the desire and passion to like always find something more than what it is at face value. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we go somewhere and it's just not about the trip. It's just not about having fun. It's about coming home with something that we didn't have. So that's kind of my God wink.
Yeah.
All right. What's your God wink?
Mine is probably for today from probably a couple of years ago. I just remember, I mean, I've had more God winks since then, but this is one that I feel like God's put on my heart for this podcast for some reason. But I was behind this car, and my way to work was all 2-lane country roads, and you couldn't pass because they were too curvy. And I wasn't running late for work, but because I got behind this car doing 35 miles an hour the whole way, I was going to be late for work. So I was being really impatient. And I was trying to find, there were 1 or 2 little spots where you could pass. And when those 2 spots came, there was something coming, so I couldn't pass. I was really frustrated, worried about being late for work. And then all of a sudden, the car in front of me slammed on its brakes. And I thought they were like brake checking me. So I was like, that's kind of an a-hole thing to do, but I'm going to back off, whatever. He had seen a deer that I didn't see. And if he had not been in front of me, I would have been going faster, and I probably would have hit the deer because, like I said, I didn't see the deer until he slammed on the brakes. So in that moment, I just kind of like bowed my head and thanked God for putting this guy in front of me and apologized for being so impatient. And there's an old Amy Grant song that came to mind, the one where it said, a car ran out of gas before it ran my way. And it's just a song that talks about you don't know the things that God's protecting you from. Sometimes, you know, if you left 5 minutes later, 5 minutes earlier, what might have happened. So that's the one that was brought to my mind today.
Yeah, that happens to me quite often. I get stuck behind somebody and I'm so mad that I'm doing 35 into 35. And then we turn a corner and there's a cop sitting there. So I know for a fact I would have gotten pulled over if we had been doing that. So well, that's good. All right. Well, after this, we're going to get started on my favorite topic in the world.
Welcome to Loving Our 25 to Life. I'm Heather.
And I'm Bo. Together we've been married over 25 years.
Yeah, baby!
And this is where we talk about life, love, and all the adventures we have had along the way.
Oh, wow.
Whether we're sharing stories from our marriage or taking you along one of our trips, we're here to reflect on how we've made it this far and where we are headed next.
So grab a seat, settle in, and let's dive into another episode of Loving Our 25 to Life.
So today we're here to talk about our trip to Hawaii, and I want you to start this conversation off because I want you to tell me how this happened. Because for those of you that kind of know me, and I'm putting out a video that talks about this same week, but never once in my entire life have I spent 1 second thinking about going to Hawaii. I've never even given it a second thought. So with that, you talk about how we ended up going to Hawaii.
So was it 2023 was our 25th? Yeah, because we just had our 27th. So in 2020, probably 2022, we were kind of batting around ideas of what we wanted to do for our 25th anniversary because, the kids had kind of grown and gone and out of the house, and we had some traveling money. And so we started talking, and I was like, I've always wanted to go to Scotland and Ireland. Like and I'm getting better, but back then I was like so fearful of leaving the country for some reason. Like I just didn't want to leave the country. And plus I didn't have a passport. So I was like, yeah, that's so pretty. That's great. But look at Hawaii. Like I've always wanted to go to Hawaii and look how beautiful it is. And of course, Bo being the amazing person that he is, he was like, okay, we can go to Hawaii for 25th and maybe for 30th, we can go to Scotland, Ireland. And so, that's how it started. So we started looking into flights and packages and all that. And in May of 2023, we took our very first trip over to Oahu and stayed in Waikiki.
So, yeah, my training for Hawaii, when she said, let's do this, let's actually go to Hawaii. And I think the way the conversation went was, hey, babe, what have you always wanted to go to? And I said, I've always wanted to go to Scotland and Ireland. And you said, that's awesome. Let's go to Hawaii. It's like,
Pretty sure that's how it went.
So I knew nothing about Hawaii because I've never spent 1 second thinking about going to Hawaii. So I did what any man would do when his wife says, hey, let's go to Hawaii. I binge watch Hawaii 5-0 and I binge watched the new Magnum PI to get my flow of what Hawaii should be like. And so, anyway, we end up going on our trip to Hawaii. And for those who know at least the past 2 years, like I can't shut up about Hawaii. I can't quit talking about it. It's in everything that I talk about. People get so sick of hearing that I liked Hawaii. But the reality is I went over there and I fell in love with like not only just it's beautiful over there. The scenery, everything's over there. I fell in love with the culture. I love the people over there are just different.
They're so laid back. Yeah.
Their idea of like ohana. And that's just something that like that word we don't have a word for it. Like that compares. It means more than, family or brotherhood or sisterhood. It means everything. It's what literally binds life together. And the idea that the culture over there is just what it is, and not to mention it's beautiful, not to mention that, everything about the trip was perfect, except that it had to come to an end. But I've always heard Hawaii's super expensive. And the reality is you can go over there and eat a spam musubi 3 times a day.
Gross.
That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you're spending $6 a day to eat there.
You can if you're on a sodium restrictive diet.
Yeah. But no, it's the thing is, I tell everybody who says, did you like Hawaii? Yes, I loved it. I've heard it's expensive. It is very expensive. It can be expensive if you stay in Waikiki, if you stay in the touristy parts. But I'm talking specifically Oahu. I'm not talking about the other islands, but just specifically Oahu, which is the most commercialized island in Hawaii. If you go outside of that and you visit the mountains and you visit the beaches and you visit the villages, you're gonna have an experience that you can't have anywhere else in this world. And
because there's so much free stuff. Like Diamond Head is not very expensive, maybe $15 to hike Diamond Head. That's can take you all day. And then going to the Blowhole was my favorite, and it was just totally free. So yeah.
So, and we were told, you have to pay to park everywhere. We've been twice now, and I haven't paid $1 to park anywhere that we've been,
except the hotel.
I mean, yeah, the hotel, but anywhere we go. And so, just the idea for me, and I came up when we talked a few weeks ago about kind of why we decided to start doing our podcast this way and be more God centered and whatever. And I talked about kind of, I wanted to add more storytelling to the events in our lives that have a God-centered theme around it. And so I put together the video that hopefully you guys will go to our YouTube channel and watch this week. But it literally talks about the idea, and it doesn't have to be a faraway place like Hawaii. It could be your backyard. It could be whatever. But the idea is that it's a place that meant nothing to me at one point. And then when I went there and God kind of revealed himself in the way of was his creation and this was the culture there. Like I said, the culture's different. And I just love different cultures. I love anything that's different than what I've grown up with and I see day in and day out. That it means a lot to me. And it means a lot to me that we can go there, and we did go there and experience some of the things of Hawaii, that the cultural things that kind of make everything make sense over there. And just to be able to experience that, I thought was, the food was, just first class. Heather and I are not very...
we don't like to dress up and go out, is what he's saying.
Yeah, I was trying to find a nice way to say it.
We like to go places where you can wear shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah,
and you don't have to put on a dress or a tux.
But also, I don't have to... my steak doesn't have to be a $50 steak. Yeah. So we would go to these little mom and pop shops, and the food was just delicious. It was colorful. It was, even the mom and pop shops would put so much into the presentation of the food, and everything about it was just awesome. And one of the verses that kind of struck me, and I put it in the video that hopefully you guys will see, but it comes out of Proverbs, but it was talking about, I have in my mind, I had the plan of what's going to happen, but God provided the footsteps. God provided the path that I was going to travel. And so I just thought it was kind of neat that I came into this place that I didn't even really want to go. And now to this day, it's my favorite place we've ever been. And not only Hawaii, but while we were in Hawaii, the second time we did a tour of we went to the Polynesian Cultural Center, and they talk about all the Polynesian islands and just the Pacific Island and all, they just have a different way of life. And I just kind of fell in love with that. And so I do a lot of reading and research about just that kind of stuff now because of that. And I just to think it was a trip that I never would have gone there in my entire life if it weren't for Heather saying, let's go there. And to be honest, I think she really wanted to go there because Steve McGarrett from Hawaii Five-0, I think she just thought
was hoping to see him, but he wasn't there. We did see one of the people off Hawaii Five-0 though, but he wasn't one of the main characters.
Yeah, he was cool though.
But yeah, that was a good trip. We had a lot of fun. It was the first trip in a long time that you and I took by ourselves too, right?
Yeah. So
it was a lot of fun.
And just some of the things we did, I know y'all remember Heather posting the hike the hike from hell is what I call it. Cause
we really did
horrible.
Almost die on that hike.
Yes,
there was no path. You just had to follow these little ribbons, and some of them had been torn down and missing. And so at one point, if it wasn't for these another God wink, if it wasn't for these 3 Army guys that saw us struggling and literally had to pull us up the side of a cliff. But yeah, they were. And
then they gave us water because this is how stupid we are. This particular hike we went on, it said easy hike, right?
Easy to moderate, I think is what it said.
Easy to moderate hike. And I think we've probably talked about this on the podcast before, but we didn't take water because it was only supposed to be like an hour hike. And we ended up being gone for 4 hours.
Well, we got lost.
We got lost. So by the time we got to the waterfall,
which was amazing,
I was literally contemplating drinking water from the waterfall because I was so thirsty. Of course, that would have been a bad idea because once we researched it, there are parasites in the water that either will kill you or make you wish you were dead.
It says the man that eats his steak raw.
I know, but so these 3 guys that saved us off the cliff, they happened to be there and they just walked up and offered us water. And so they were kind of a godsend twice. But anyway, that's just kind of it is we wanted to kind of retouch on that story and the fact that that whole thing was kind of a godlike story because he just kind of revealed himself in a place or a situation that I'd never thought that he would have. And kind of like we talked last week, there are times, bad and good, that if we pay attention, God does reveal himself. And I think we talked a lot last week about missing him in the bad times, but I think we also miss him in the good times sometimes because we just think it's about a trip, or we just think it's about a vacation, or we just think it's about whatever. And it's really not. It's about much more than that.
Yeah. I also think it was, we didn't fight one time that week. And if you've ever been, there's so much jet lag and there were so many days that we were just so tired, but we had so much fun. Like even when we were tired and, there was a time or two you wanted to go this way and I wanted to go this way and we worked it out. But I didn't get frustrated. We didn't get frustrated. You can't get frustrated in Hawaii. It's just,
right.
You just go with the flow and that's the atmosphere over there. And it was so awesome. But even on the way back, on the way back, quick short story. One of our legs, it was our last leg. And when you come back from Hawaii, you're pretty much up for 24 to 36 hours.
And you're exhausted.
And so the last leg was from Minnesota to here, I think. Mm-hmm. And they had booked too many people and we had already gotten our seats. And they were like giving away things if you would volunteer to get on or to skip this flight and try to find another way home. And the next flight they were offering this was like at 6 a.m. The next flight they were offering was at like 9 o'clock at night. And we just looked at each other and we're like, no, I want to get home now. And what the airline was offering got up to like $1,000 worth of gift cards or something that they were offering people if they would volunteer to give their seat up for the flight. And I just looked at Bo and I said, I know we could probably use the money, but I really want to go home. I'm so tired. And so even in that, we were like both on the same page. So it was just such a good trip all the way around.
Yeah. And I don't want this to sound pretentious and sound like if you're not going to Hawaii or you're not taking a big trip or you're not doing that, that's not what it's about. But it is about finding God and finding kind of direction in some of these things that you do, or if you take vacation every year, or you take trips a couple times a month or whatever, it's finding some direction in that I think is pretty important.
Well, that's like a lot of people will say, why can't we, like you hear about God presenting himself everywhere in the Old Testament, New Testament and whatever. And like people will say, why doesn't God do that anymore? And I think he does. We're just so inundated with social media and technology. And when is the last time you just sat in a quiet room with no sounds at all? And I'll be honest, I don't like it. Like if I'm in my car, right, I'm playing music. If I'm cleaning house, I'm playing music. I don't like the quiet. And, I've had to learn to have those times of just no music, no noise, whatever, just so I can listen and hear for God to speak to me. But anyway.
Yeah. So that's it. We just wanted to kind of talk about that. Anytime I get to talk about Hawaii, I'll choose to do that. So anyway, I just thought that would be kind of a cool little God story. And, as we do this podcast podcast right now, we are on the verge of Heather and I are taking our second, well, it's really our third vacation by ourselves. We did a cruise back when Joshua was first born.
18 years ago.
18 years ago. We did a Hawaii trip 2 years ago, and now we are taking a trip. We're going to go down to Louisiana to visit some of her family. We're going to go over to Katy, Texas to visit her brother and their family. And then we're going to drive up to Colorado to visit a good friend of mine. And the idea, that's a lot of driving, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to catching up with some old friends and old family, and
I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure with just the idea that Heather and I are trying to find God and things that we do, I'm sure, I'm going to be looking for that, and I normally wouldn't be. It would just be a trip. So just the idea that I think it's going to be fun. So here we come.
Also, before we sign off for this episode,
Heather had no idea this was the real episode. She thought we were still before the beginning bumper.
Look, I have to tell you, in my defense, there's a lot going on right now. We've had cats in the walls. We've had Joshua leaving for football practice. My mom and Robert just got home from somewhere. So we've been trying to... Anyway.
I edited it out, but she goes, that's a long intro before the bumper. And I said, that was the episode.
I was sitting there waiting for the bumper. I'm like, they're going to get tired of it. Anyway. Something else I want to say, like we talk about God winks and looking for God in certain things and all that, but I also want to, like, one thing that Bo and I've tried to do, we do this, what we've made it more of a, like a part of our life, our married life, is we always say normalize bragging on your spouse, because back in 2015, when we were having our problems, we were hanging out with friends and a friend group that, we'd get together and we would just talk crap about our spouses. And, my wife, Bo's thing could be, my wife doesn't ever cook and blah, blah, blah. And I would say, Bo does blah, blah, blah. And it was all in fun and being sarcastic, quote unquote, joking around. But we started realizing once we started going to counseling that even in joking, it was still kind of hurtful. And of course, with all the negative self-talk that I deal with anyway. And so through counseling, we decided, like back in 2016, that we were going to stop doing that. So we stopped even joking around about the negative things about our spouses and stuff, even when we're not together. But one thing we've started doing in the last couple of years, and more solidly in the last 6 months, is we make it a point to tell the other one when we see where they're doing something good. And so I think that's super important. And I just want to brag on Bo, because a few weeks ago when he took Facebook off his phone, I in my mind, I was like, yeah, that'll last like a week, because he's done it before. And I've done it too, like take it off and then a few weeks later. But he's kept it off of his phone. And we both, I'm not saying just Bo, but before he took it off his phone, we both would put the TV on at night, and we would both be on Facebook the whole time. So we weren't even really connecting. We were just sitting in front of the same TV. And so I've noticed that not only has he taken Facebook off his phone, so our TV, he challenges me. So during TV time, I stay off of my phone as well as Facebook. But I also noticed he was on his phone yesterday, and I said, oh, did you put Facebook back on your phone? He goes, no, I got this new cool Bible game that I'm playing, and I'm learning so much about the Bible. And so he sent it to me, and I downloaded it. And of course, now we're playing each other. But I was like, God is amazing. Like, for him to take Facebook off, it's been off his phone for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I look over and he's like playing this Bible game, cussing at it because he's missing the questions. But
yeah, that's true.
But anyway, I just wanted to brag on you because I'm really proud of you for doing that.
You just want to tell that story because the first time I challenged you, you won.
Oh, I wasn't going to bring that up, but
yeah, sure you weren't.
But yeah, you're right. And the one I did today, I only missed 2 out of 20 questions.
Okay.
Yeah, now we can be done.
Now we can go to the bumper.
Well, you just said you're not supposed to point out when I do stupid stuff, and you're pointing out when I do stupid stuff.
Not pointing that out at all.
I'm going to have to listen to this podcast carefully because I don't remember the intro.
Yeah, we had one.
I love you.
I love you.
That's it for today's episode of Loving Our 25 to Life. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found something to take with you on your own journey.
Remember, love is an adventure. Sometimes it's wild, sometimes it's calm, but it's always worth it. Yes! If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who might need a little inspiration.
And don't forget to follow along for more episodes and vlogs documenting our travels, life lessons, and hopefully plenty of laughs.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep loving life because it is the greatest adventure of all. Bye for now.